Let's get the show underway, Teddy. Hot topics of the day. Ben Simmons catching a little bit of flack, shows up in game 2, shows up again in game 3. But the interesting part yesterday, Teddy, was the line drop in the Sixer game due to Joel Embiid missing the game with the knee injury. But Bobby, the big boy, helped out a lot. The Sixers looked really good last night in Brooklyn, Teddy. An easy win and cover despite that line drop.
They looked really good in game 2 as well. You know, that game 1 loss for Philly at home looking a long way in the rearview mirror right now. And look, we talked about it on the show yesterday. The Nets are not going to win if they're not burying threes. Last night, 8 of 39 from three-point range. They were still minus 11 on the boards even without Embiid in the game for Philly. The Nets are not going to be capable of controlling the paint in this series. They're not draining threes. They're going to lose. That's exactly what happened last night, despite all that Brooklyn money.
Yeah, Teddy, Tobias Harris had a really good night from the three-point line as well. J.J. Redick had a great night and also a very efficient night for Ben Simmons. Even though he doesn't shoot the jump shot, 11 for 13 from the field. The one thing I have a question with, Teddy, is now the Sixers go up 2-1. So you get that added pressure on Saturday for the Brooklyn Nets to try to, take back and even up the series before going back to Philadelphia. I want to ask you a little bit of advice here. If we're looking at Joel Embiid, who missed this game, now if you're looking ahead, and let's just say you want to jump the line, is it more likely to you that Joel Embiid sits game 4 out because the Sixers have a 2-1 lead? Or do they bring him back on Saturday and say, load management, one game, we'll see if he can get out there on his leg?
Well, I mean, what Philly has been saying is that the doctors are making all these decisions and it's not us and we don't know. And if I'm Brett Brown and company, I'd rather lock the series down now and get the week off. You know what I mean? If you have a chance to take a 3-1 lead on Brooklyn and then get game 5 at home, I'm not sitting Embiid here. If he can play, he's in the lineup.
Yep, absolutely. There's statement made with KD. 38 points in the win for the Golden State Warriors over the Los Angeles Clippers. I think everybody had this one pegged down there, Teddy, saying, you know what? Durant is going to go off, and absolutely he did. 38.7 assists in the Warriors win of 132-105. But we are of the betting mind, Teddy. How about us talking about the game yesterday? 237 is a total. Gets bet down to 234. The price is right if you take the line at the right time.
Yeah, sure. You could have pushed if you played under 237. Obviously, anything less than that, you lost with an under bet, but you won with an over bet. Final minute scoring flurry sends this game over the total. Look, it was playing at an over pace for extended stretches of the first half, but with the blowout in the fourth quarter, some thought the pace might slow enough to cash the under bets. Didn't get there in the end, as the final bucket was the difference maker for everybody. Lands 237. Of course, from a side standpoint, this game was over after the first quarter. The Warriors, I've never seen a clearer game that was over after one quarter because the Warriors weren't going to let up last night. And they didn't let up last night after they blew that 31-point lead in game 2. Wasn't going to happen in game 3 and didn't. A bad result for the books when it comes to the side here. Wise guys were on Golden State. The public was on Golden State. And all that money ended up winning.
Yeah, line climbed at least 1.5 to 2 points before game time. But that was a championship team, Teddy, with a championship mindset, coming out, setting the tone immediately right away, carried it right through. We'll see what happens in game 4 from the Staples Center on Sunday. How about some big tickets cashing in Major League Baseball, Teddy? How about those Orioles plus 220 getting a ticket? Then late night, Joey Votto and the Reds taking down a plus 160 ticket. You know what the interesting part about this is, Teddy? Because just the mindset that we have coming into the season, the Orioles are a bad baseball club. Yes. But how about this? Usually, at least if you're a bad baseball club, you want to hang in there at home and maybe steal a game or two on the road. How about the Orioles? Of their 8 wins this year, Teddy, 7 on the road.
Yeah, Baltimore, the single most profitable team in all of baseball to support on the highway this season. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they won those games in the Bronx in that very first series and were up like 6 units after 2 days. But nonetheless, been backing Baltimore at these big dog price on the highway. Cashing in yesterday, they blew the lead and won it in extras. Let's give them some kudos for that. Let's give the Reds some kudos from bouncing back off a rough series. And let's not forget the Royals, who cashed as nearly $2 dogs yesterday. Back-to-back gems from Homer Bailey. We'll talk about Kansas City and the Yankees in just a few minutes.
Yeah, looking at the numbers, coming into the game yesterday, albeit it is early, but Homer Bailey's numbers did hold up. But it's just the fact, Eddie, talking about the psychology of the sports gambler going, let me get this straight here. We're going to go into a hitter's ballpark and we're going to bet Homer Bailey in this game. And it worked out and he was sensational. Let's also not forget Teddy, with Joey Votto getting the leadoff blast. And the Reds, Teddy, their first road win of the year comes last night. So interesting stuff going on across Major League Baseball. But how about this one? No more interesting than this. We always talk about transparency. We want to see what the people say behind closed doors. Oh, my goodness, the NFL with the Saints and the Rams, they don't even want to speak out to after the Super Bowl. But how about the schedule maker coming up and going, you know what? I think we really messed up. And some people here at the offices of the National Football League are looking for a do-over or even cheering on the Bucks, Teddy. 49 days between home games for an NFL team. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you send teams abroad to play overseas. When you play games out of the country, home games out of the country, your home fans get screwed. Look, it's good for the league revenue. They like the international games. It's good for fans in other countries, but it's bad for the fans of the actual teams who show up at the games. I love the quote, and this is something that you wouldn't find 20 years ago. This is only in the social media era where you're getting quotes like this, where people are like, yeah, this is what happened. The guy who was in charge of the schedule. If we had to do over, if we had to redo, I'd love to take another shot at that Tampa Bay schedule. I'm not sure that's really fair for their fans. I'm hopeful we didn't do something to the Buccaneers that they feel like was really unfair. It's kind of unfair. Then again, Tampa's not a playoff team anyway, lined at 6.5 wins. And the betting market's not all that worried about the Bucs having many, many weeks, 7 weeks in between home games. Screw job for the fans. For the players, not really that good either. And Tampa, not a highly regarded team. That's why stuff like this happens to the Bucs, not to the Patriots.
Exactly. No, you bring up such a good point there, Teddy, because we also take a look at teams like the Oakland Raiders are always the nomadic type team. Even look at like the Los Angeles Chargers as that nomadic team, because if you're not going to get the home gate, which you can partly blame a little bit, Teddy, on the Bucs fan base as is, because if they're constantly selling out and the home dollars are there, they're not going to go overseas. We see the Jacksonville Jaguars do it. How many times did we watch over the years, Teddy, Jacksonville Jaguars put a tarp over the, second deck in their stadium down there in Jacksonville? So they sort of do it to themselves. But then again, the owners are going to say, well, let me get this straight. I can sell and get 85,000 tickets overseas at Wembley, or we can have a home game and maybe get 45 to 50,000 in there. Dollars win in the NFL, even as if at the cost for your team's competitiveness during the season.